John McTiernan's 1999 epic, The 13th Warrior, starring Antonio Banderas. It's widely regarded as one of the most critical financial disasters in film history. With a budget of $85 million and a box office return of only $61 million, this take on the story of Beowulf, written by Michael Crichton and taken off of his novel Eaters of the Dead.
What are you talking about, dude?
That's John McTiernan's 1999 epic, The 13th Warrior, Antonio Banderas.
What? I don't.
It was a big flop. It really sunk.
Why does this have to do with anything?
Is that not good? That's not the. Hold on, I can do. Hold on. Hold on a second. Is that not good? Should I do a different one? I can do. Hold on. Ready? Here, let's try again.
Okay.
Oliver Stone's epic 2004 masterpiece, Alexander, the story of Alexander the Great, starring Colin Farrell, was such a critical flop that not even full frontal nudity from Rosario Dawson could save it.
What? Oh, what did you? I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining about Rosario Dawson.
These are the big historical epics that they kind of flopped, right? Because you said that this episode was about historical disasters.
Yeah, no, that's a solid try, buddy.
These movies are both disasters.
No, we're doing actual disasters, like actual.
Well, I mean, I guess Alexander did make like 10, 12
not
million
cinematic
on a $155 million budget.
Not cinematic disasters, man. Like actual disasters.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
yay!
okay.
We did another one.
I didn't cap that one with some shit about delete everything with Patrick Wall, but it's fine.
Oh, that's okay.
It's okay. That's what this is, though. This is delete everything with Patrick Wall.
Welcome back, everybody, to Delete Everything with Patrick Wall. That's me, and with me is my co-host,
Riley Bowen.
That's it. Yeah. You're not. Everybody's gonna call you O'Reilly. O'Reilly. They're gonna think your name is O'Reilly.
I doubt very much I'm the only one.
I feel like every episode, whenever I say my co-host, you go, Riley Bowen.
Okay, all right, cut it, delete it, start over.
No, I'm not doing that.
Well, just add this one. Well, you know what? From now on, just copy and paste this. Ready? Riley Bowen. We're just gonna use that every time that I'm introduced.
Make it a real obvious edit. Right. Here's my co-host, Riley Bowen.
Riley Bowen.
We are so happy to be back, and fuck yeah, dude. You guys don't know this because we haven't launched yet. We were like, man, we've had so many
roadblocks, you could say.
Had some roadblocks.
We've had a couple of historical disasters of our own.
Primarily due to my own stupidity. We're not going to get into it, but
yeah, it turns out Patrick's a big dumb dummy. Big stupid fuck.
But anyway, this is Delete Everything.
Hold on, you want me to tell the
podcast.
story?
I don't.
Okay, so we've been on hiatus for about 2 months.
Like a month and a half.
Month and a half-ish, as we have dealt with technical difficulties. This is actually our first official re-record of an episode that you'll be able to find on our Patreon.
If you guys could see my face right now.
Oh, he's cringing hard. So we kept having this issue where
because I know I'm about to have my spot blown.
This
the
happened
fuck
like
up.
a couple times. We thought we'd fixed it, and like we'd record an episode, and then I'd be like driving home, and Pat would send me the episode on my way, and I start playing, and it would just sound like dog shit in the car.
I'm literally seething right now listening to this story.
We try again and work some knobs and stuff. It'd be fine. And this last one, the historical disasters episode that we did previously,
which we did at the end of May.
Yeah,
it's now the end of June.
Yes.
Fucking hell.
But I got in the car and I'm driving home and I get it, and we recorded for like 2 hours, and it was even like middle of the day, and it's pretty funny. I had like a couple of martinis in me.
It was early in the day. It was right before we left to go on a camping trip.
Yeah, exactly. We're just like, we're gonna squeeze this one in, and it's gonna work out great, and we were hitting it, and it is funny. Check out the Patreon. I recommend it, but the sound quality is.
I don't think we're gonna drop it on the Patreon. We're just gonna release this.
We should absolutely put it on the Patreon.
We'll hit the same.
No,
jokes,
listen.
more or less.
I was two.
All right.
I was 2 martinis in the afternoon on a
If
day
enough
off that
people-
day.
if enough
I am
people
dead
ask-
sober with a shoulder injury right now. There's no fucking way I'm going to be as funny as I am.
If enough people ask, I'll drop it on the Patreon. Terrible sound
Oh,
quality.
dude, the sound quality is miserable. But anyway,
Yeah.
it turns out it's because Patrick installed this new desk in our studio.
I took everything out of the studio to put this new awesome desk in. It's great. It's a big L-shaped desk. We kind of have everything. It's a lot nicer than the setup we had before. And I had to unplug everything, our soundboard, the whole shebang. Long story short, there are 2 cords that come out of the back of our soundboard. One that goes to the computer as our audio out, and one that goes down to a power block for the power in. I ran the audio out cord. They both end in a USB. Like they both have a USB end. One goes into a power cord and one goes into USB in the computer. I ran the audio out to the power block, and so the audio coming out of our soundboard was going to the fucking outlet, and I ran our power USB, our power in, to my computer, so my computer was powering our soundboard. So the soundboard was still on.
So like no fewer than 3 meetings of us getting together and being like, what if we turn this knob?
And then
what if we download this? What if we switch this passage out? What if we do this? And we could not figure out why it sounded like we were recording in a fucking bathtub.
Well, because our recording program was defaulting to the microphone on the computer. So the computer is closer to me when we record because I have all my notes and everything on it. And I sit maybe like 2 feet away from it, and Riley sits about 5 feet away.
My fantastic John McTiernan intro is just mud.
Yeah,
it is just miserable. So I say we put it on the Patreon specifically so you can know what it sounds like if 2 12-year-old boys try and record a podcast in their bedroom. With just a laptop microphone.
So that's our intro. Again, welcome to Delete Everything. This podcast is, me and Riley, we're just addressing things that have been forgotten, things that no one ever knew about, things that we really never discuss. Basically, it's our opportunity to address the things that we as a collective society never talk about, but, or we've deleted from our collective consciousness, and now we're going to talk about it. So thank you to everybody who has given us 5 stars specifically on Apple Podcasts. That's the big one. That's the one that really drives us up in the charts, gives us some visibility.
Slightly less thank you, but still notable thank you to those that have thought about it, decided not to give us 5 stars, but then didn't. I appreciate you guys. Just stay off. Please.
Yeah, if you like what we do, please, nothing helps us out more than going on to Apple Podcasts. If you have Spotify or Amazon or any of the others, there's countless ones that give you the opportunity to rate us. That would be great. We also now have social media. I don't think we've done anything with it, so we need to kind of get on that. ASAP.
I've been skeeving on girls.
It's gross.
No, I'm not.
But yeah, Delete Everything podcast.
Hey, baby, I'm 2 middle-aged men.
Delete Everything podcast. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Threads, all under Delete Everything podcast. We're flurb casters on Click Clack. We don't have a Click Clack yet, but we'll talk about it soon. We also have a Patreon. If you want to donate money to us, we are planning on having some awesome Patreon content. We're going to plug all that on the back end of the show. So, all right. So, just a quick disclaimer. Some people die. Some people die in this one.
Yeah, the whole topic is mostly centered around horrifying deaths, dismemberments.
There's
burns, drownings, asphyxiations.
Not all of them. People don't die in all of them.
As far as we know, somebody who was ripped apart by vultures and scattered across a small town. We don't really know what the last one is.
People don't die in all of them. They are all wacky, though. That we can agree on.
They are some wacky happenstance.
They are all wacky.
But it's important to note that we're not mocking the dead. If any of the people that died personally and you think they are deserving of mockery, feel free to apply our mockery to them.
And if you think that we are assholes for making a comedy podcast that I didn't do a thing.
What, like a disclaimer?
I didn't do my metaphor. You know, my Scooby Doo, or or the like. That's all right. I'll come up with a new one. We're getting back in the saddle, baby. It's been a month.
Yeah, it's been a second. We've been out. A lot of stuff's happened. You know.
God almighty.
I'm on work leave with a shoulder injury.
I'm on twerk leave. That's when you get paid to go out of state and just shake that ass anywhere you can. No? Okay, I'll try harder next time. So, if you don't think we should make fun of people who died in disasters, you should probably just switch it. You just switch it. There's a lot of podcasts out there. We are in a flooded market.
If you
we're begging for 5 stars on fucking Apple Podcasts. You've got options.
If you're not in the mood for people who are taking lighthearted jabs at disasters, I'd recommend listening to a real history podcast, one that like focuses on the history specifically, like Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, or Our Weird History is a good one.
God, I love Dan Carlin.
Dan Carlin's the best.
I almost called him Dad Carlin.
Dad Carlin.
And I have a father whom I love greatly.
Can we like compromise and call him Danny?
Danny
Carlin. We got into podcasts partially because we're big fans of Dan Carlin's Hardcore History.
Mm-hmm. True.
And he's the best of the best if you want serious content with serious context.
And you have hours to kill.
You've got
literal
days. If you want to listen to
days worth of time to kill.
Brilliant analysis of Japan during World War II, and you've got 37 hours to kill.
I've got a boner just thinking about it. But in the interim, we are a couple of fucking assholes with a comedy podcast that's or what do we call it? A history podcast that's disguised as comedy?
Was it the other way around?
Is it the other way?
Comedy podcast disguised as a history podcast?
No, it's a history podcast that's disguised as a comedy podcast. That's what it is.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I always say that. You say the other thing.
I say the other thing.
Yeah, that's your bit.
But that's a bit. You're just taking apart the bit. I think it's the other thing.
I forgot to do. We could do this whole intro over again, and I would be fine with it.
Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in to Delete Everything with Patrick Wall.
We're
I'm
48
Patrick
minutes into this.
This is my co-host, Riley
48 minutes into this fucking recording. We haven't even talked about any wacky disasters.
To be fair, the first 10 minutes are just jibber jabber.
Yeah, I know. The other 38 minutes are us just bouncing off the walls like lunatics because we've been like literally itching from
been a while.
Not being able to record.
Hey, I'm all jacked up on ibuprofen 800.
Ibuprofen. You know what? Hey, let's talk about a disaster. First one, you ask. What is it? You ask?
Yes, I asked that.
I will tell you. It's the Great Molasses Flood of 1919.
The old molasses disasters.
The otherwise known as the Boston Molasses disasters. Jesus.
The Boston Molasses disasters.
Boston Molasses disaster. Not the molasses disasters.
This is, I think, the Boston Molasses disaster. Say that sometimes fast.
That's what I'm saying.
Boston Molasses disaster. Boston. No, I can't do it. I don't think this is a good one to start with because it is funnier than shit because it's about molasses. It's a molasses flood, but also possibly the most horrifying one in the entire list.
I think out of our whole list, this is the one that has the most casualties. I think. I can't remember. So anyway, okay, January 15th of 1919 in the north end of Boston, Massachusetts.
The Molasses district.
There's probably like a Boston, Idaho that somebody's like, I've never heard about that. Boston, Massachusetts.
Boston, Molassachusetts.
So anyway, in the north end neighborhood, there was
the Molasses district.
I think it was just a big warehouse district, but they had a large storage tank that was filled with 2.3 million gallons of molasses. This molasses weighed approximately 12,000 metric tons, right?
That's a lot of molasses.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Holy molasses.
So 2.3 million gallons, 12,000 metric tons burst open and effectively caused quite a bit of damage.
I like to call it the big sticky kablooey. It's in my head. Like if you ever watch like an old timey movie, if you ever watch an old timey movie, a black and white movie where like a big disaster happens, like a train wreck or something, and you can tell it's clearly like a miniature.
Yeah.
In my head, when I think
It's
of
all
this
happening like a miniature.
molasses exploding, it's like in miniature, you
Yeah.
know, and it's just somebody's exploding a can of like oil. It's like a
Dude.
blue.
So,
You get
okay.
the music's da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
So basically they were holding molasses there, right, to ferment into ethanol, right?
Or to make
for
boost.
alcohol,
Yeah,
yeah.
like rum
For
is
boost.
made from molasses. Molasses is a
Incidentally, this
heavy
was
building
this
block
was
for
1
rum.
year before Prohibition, and I believe they signed Prohibition into law. I want to say like a week after this happened or some shit like
the
that. Like,
Volstead Act.
yes, I'd have to go back and look, but it was like
It would track. I mean, like
very soon after
I
this.
think prohibitionists were already like, the demon rum is taking our children.
Yeah.
And now they're like, the candy that makes the demon rum is also taking our children.
So there was a company called Purity Distilling Company, right? And they owned this big tank.
Purity Distilling, making their product from rat molasses.
Yeah, right.
It's just fucking rotting in the sun.
So they would, effectively, big ships would come in with molasses. They'd fill it up. It was like a holding tank, right?
Molasses is a byproduct of the refinement of sugar, if anyone doesn't know. And it's a
thick,
massive industry in the Caribbean.
yeah,
And is also one of the main building blocks of the entire colonization of the New World.
yeah.
Because
Sugarcane,
sugarcane is such a massive industry, and it really specifically grows on the meridian where like you'd find Indonesia, which goes directly into the Bahamas.
Right. So
a
lot of your
that building block.
Caribbean countries.
Yeah, so all of colonial America is a lot of rum and a lot of molasses as a import.
Mm-hmm. So basically, this Purity Distilling Company, they were using this as a holding tank. So they think what happened was that was the first day. This was on January 15th, right? So we're early January 1919. It had been cold. It had been like sub 32 degrees. So all that molasses that was in the
So it's
tank.
like 31 degrees.
What?
You said it was sub 32 degrees, so it was 31 degrees.
Yes. What if it was 31.9? That's all I'm saying. Anyway, so they think what happened was
One of my favorite pop punk bands is Sub 31.
you're so stupid. They like a
want to be another casualty of
this is gonna be
floods. Sorry,
the worst episode ever. We are.
You say that every episode.
We're gonna have to re-record this 5 times.
That's
before
never
we're
gonna
in-
happen.
Before we're in
I'm never
form.
touching this episode again.
You don't ever want to do wacky disasters again, or just not?
No, we can do
these
more
one- not
wacky
these.
disasters. I
Okay.
just don't want to go on this list again.
Okay. So what happened was, ship came. They topped this tankard off, but there was frozen stuff in there. And by the way, this I guess storage tank was known for being shit, right? It was known for being like falling apart. They painted the whole thing brown because there were so many leaks and creaks in between the panels that like neighborhood kids would go with like empty cans and like collect molasses out of it to like bring home for, I don't know, their molasses needs.
Wow. So we're talking like working class neighborhood, major city, little kids just rotting their teeth out, free molasses.
Basically. So, as I said, 2.3 million gallons of molasses, 12,000 metric tons of weight burst open, and the resultant wave of molasses that rushed through the streets of the north end of Boston, they estimated at around 35 miles an hour, ended up killing 21 people and injuring 150 people.
That's a lot. And I was thinking about it actually on the way up here. So, all right. Yeah, my dad had this saying that I was slower, specifically about me, that I was slower than molasses in January. And, my family's all rooted out there in the New England area. So I think that might actually have something to do it. Because 35 miles an hour, not particularly fast. It is much, much faster than a person.
Faster than I can move.
Faster than a person, not as fast as a cheetah. But also, like, if you think like a tsunami,
Yeah.
a tsunami rolls between like 200 and 500 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Those things are crazy fast. So if you think of like a car moving 35 miles an hour, coming down a couple of blocks in a residential neighborhood, you can stand in the street or play hockey, and be like, oh, hey, game off. You can see that shit coming from forever
Sure.
away. and it takes a long time to get to you, and you can slowly wait for it.
Or if you're me, you're like, why the fuck is this guy going so fast through the goddamn neighborhood?
Okay, Grandpa.
20 miles an hour.
35.
I've got pets and children. Fuck off.
Your fucking lawn
And I live
chair.
I live on a quiet street. You live on a quiet street.
Yeah, but I
Somebody
drive like a
rolled
fucking
through-
madman. It's like I'm trying to get home.
So basically,
No, I'm not done yet. Hold
Oh,
on.
Jesus.
Because it's so slow and the ground is so cold, right? That it's like
We're gonna
you're
get
watching
into
it come.
this.
But imagine getting hit with a wall of cold molasses. That shit is not liquid. That is a big, like, fucking
It's-
silly putty thwap.
Yeah.
So you're just boom getting bowled over by a fucking-
Listen, we're about to get all up in that, right? Okay, so here's where we're at. On the 15th, temperatures in Boston had been cold previously, but that was the first day that they had risen above 40 degrees, right? So prior to that, the temperatures had been much more frigid. It climbed rapidly up to above 40 degrees, right? The previous day, a ship had delivered a fresh load of molasses, which they warm before they transfer it to reduce the viscosity.
Yeah, you'd have to.
Yeah.
Think about trying to like squeeze maple syrup like from your fridge.
Versus
Like
if you microwave it,
pouring
for
it out of a
10
when it's
seconds.
warm, yeah.
So they're saying. So what the theory is, possibly because of the thermal expansion of the older, colder molasses already in the tank, plus this new warmed molasses in there, the tank burst open. This happened about 12:30 p.m. Witnesses on the scene at the time reported that they felt the ground shake. They heard a loud roar as it collapsed. A lot of people thought it was there's an elevated train in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it was like kind of like happening around
Yeah,
the
it was
same
like
time that the
right
train's
next to
coming
yeah.
in.
So a lot of people thought that the elevated train was coming through, but a lot of people said that it sounded like a thunderclap bang. People who were closer said that the sound, they could hear the rivets shooting out of the tank, and it sounded like machine gun fire, which is insane. Speaking of that elevated train, right? The force, the wave had like so much force that it drove the steel panels of this tank against the girders of the elevated railway, right? And it tipped one of the cars off the tracks. Fortunately,
Did you say the tank itself took out the like
the panels of the tank took out the girders that were holding up the elevated train.
So okay, actually, this might be where the image in my head should change. So this tank, it was just a big tank on the ground.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking like a water tower on like beams.
No. It was just a big.
So now the dramatic picture in my head of like the miniature of everything, whoosh, because it's like coming from above and smashing and the big rolling. Well, that's fucking wild.
Yeah, literally. So buildings were swept off their foundations and crushed. The thing is, when it came out, and I don't know how warm the previous transferred stuff was still, but as it came out into the cooler temperatures,
it's like blur.
Imagine, and I know 35 miles an hour. I mean, I saw like some people were saying that the wave was as much as like 20 feet tall. Like it was like
That's
absolutely not. It flooded several blocks, 2 to 3 feet with molasses. So you got to think about this again. Yeah, like you said earlier, it's like getting hit with, I don't know, maple syrup or I'm trying to think of like
thinking abstractly. I'm thinking like you picture like a tsunami coming in. You got like kind of noise in your head, like this like roar.
Yeah, this is just like
would it be like? Would it just be like?
Not at 35 miles an hour. I bet it sounds just like a fucking tsunami.
At 35 miles an hour, though, I think it probably would just sound like fucking like slaps,
Yeah.
like shit cold molasses slapping on the ground. Plap, 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 plap.
So molasses is 40% more dense than water, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means that it's got a lot more potential energy because everything's sort of compacted in that, right? The way potential and kinetic energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this translated that potential energy translated itself into a wave. This is saying 25 feet of its peak, moving at 35 miles an hour.
Well, so how fucking?
Right.
So there's the thing. How fucking big was this tank? It was like 3 stories tall.
I actually have the dimensions of it somewhere. It wasn't 3 stories tall, but it was a big ass boy. Well, it'll come up somewhere. But because it's been a month since we recorded this, by the way, most of this has just exited my brain. Like, I feel like usually I do the show notes the week leading to the recording, so everything's super fresh.
I'm actually kind of the opposite because I walked into it fresh last time, but I was also 2 afternoon martinis in, so I was just like, "Whoa, this is fascinating." But now I've like had time to process it into like, and the way my brain works when I think of like an abstract concept like this, I try and bring it into reality, and like the horror sets in.
Yeah,
you know. So like, you ever see the movie The Blob?
Mm-hmm.
The old classic.
Yeah, I remember.
It's
Stephen
Queen.
And then they redid it. They redid it in the 80s.
Yeah. But like,
or in early 90s. I can't remember.
It just, to me, it's just like the people going, ah, you know, it just sweeps down on them. Fucking like, just the abstract horror of watching this just like ridiculous goop just fucking sweep everything in its path. So, and there's also like there are animals and cars and shit in it, and just like this tumbling, roiling mass of your friends and family.
Listen to this quote by Stephen Puleo from the Boston Post. He was there to report on it, and he said, "Molasses, waist deep, covered the street and swirled and bubbled about the wreckage. Here and there a struggle to form. Whether it was animal or human being was impossible to tell. Only an upheaval, a thrashing about in the sticky mass, showing where any life was. Horses died like so many flies on sticky flypaper. The more they struggled, the deeper in the mess they were ensnared. Human beings, men and women, suffered likewise."
Horses like so many flies on sticky flypaper. Some Upton Sinclair shit. That's good. I'm not gonna do the same diatribe that I did in the episode that you can find on Patreon, but there's an album by a band I really like called Protest the Hero, and where they do like Americana stuff. It's a Canadian metal band, and they do a song about this topic called All Hands, and in the aftermath, you can't tell if it's animal or human in the mass. That's a big theme in the song. So I highly recommend that. Check it out, All Hands by Protest the Hero, and then check out the rest of their shit because they're good. And also tell them that I said hi, and they're cool.
There was also a kid named Anthony DeStasio. Hey,
Tony DeStasio. You know Tony DeStasio from back on Molasses Street.
You know Tony DeStasio. Hey, he was walking home the other day.
They call him Sticky Stasio.
You know he lives over on the north end. He was walking home the other day. That's more New York. That's not Boston.
I don't know, 1919?
Tony DeStasio.
I'm trying to think 1919.
You got a DeStasio.
1919 would be a little more like
Rhode Island.
James Cagney. Like, hey, what do you say there? Hey.
Anyway,
you dirty rat.
He was walking home from his school with his sisters. The wave picked him up and carried him like he was surfing on the damn thing, right? Then it slammed him into the ground, and Molasses started rolling over him. He was stuck down. That was the thing about it. Everybody who tipped over from this.
Heavy as shit,
that molasses is so thick, they were just stuck, pinned to the ground, and drowned in molasses, which is fucking nuts, dude. So he was stuck, right? And he couldn't get up. He couldn't call out. He couldn't do anything. He was just smothered with this shit. So he passed out, and his sisters were like, his sisters managed to snatch him out, but yeah, he could have died.
Sticky situation.
Tony, he could have been, he could have been no more. We would have never
Sticky
seen him.
Stasio, we call him.
Yeah, his fucking 3 sisters would have been wackier than they already are.
I'm trying to think what like an accent would be actually at this time. I think it just sounded like Bernie Sanders.
Jesus,
that old timey kind of.
There is I watched very briefly. It was kind of cool. The guy doing it, I think, was trying to be a little too, and he had kind of a weird voice, and he was just trying to be real like dramatic about it.
Oh, that slow, intense YouTube narrator.
But there is there's a YouTube
Dan
short.
Carlin, he is not.
No, not at all. There's a short documentary, The Great Molasses Flood, on YouTube. But like I said, I watched a part of it, and then I was like, this guy's like trying to be too. Ugh.
You could also find a small documentary about this on Drunk History on Comedy Central.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, cool. But in this disaster documentary on YouTube, there was a quote that I just immediately started dying laughing. The guy says in like this very serious voice, "There was no escaping the goo." Ooh. And I was just like, what? Why would you try and say that as a serious voice? You can't. I don't know. Either that or I'm just more of a child than everyone else, which is very possible. So how about we move on, huh? You wanna go to a new guy?
Yeah, I think we covered molasses pretty. We covered being covered in molasses pretty good.
Yeah, right. No shit. You want to talk about the Norwegian cheese fire?
Ah, the Norwegian cheese fire. The fire that still burns in our hearts.
Fire that still burns in the tunnel of my ass. Called the Norwegian cheese fire.
Some may say, I've heard it commented that my relationship history is a bit of a Norwegian cheese fire.
Jesus Christ. So in this is more recent. This was in January of 2013. So this isn't very, very long ago. No one dies in this one though. Fortunately, the couple people narrow escape. But so this was in Norway. Obviously, it's a Norwegian cheese fire.
It could have just been Norwegian cheese in a different location.
It is Norwegian cheese, but it did happen in Norway also. It happened in a little Arctic municipality called Tisfjord.
Oh, I know Tisfjord.
Have you know Tisfjord?
Yeah, I go there.
Oh,
every
yeah,
summer.
it's about 840 miles north of Oslo.
Yeah, it's classic.
Yeah, you gotta. It's a long drive. It's a
great,
long drive from Oslo.
There's a great Denny's out there.
I was trying to think of a Norwegian way of pronouncing Denny's.
Denny's?
Denny's.
Denny's?
Denny's. So this
I'll have the moons over my diamond Yemen.
I thought that was Swedish.
Whatever. It's
They're
the
next
same
door
shit.
neighbors.
What do I know?
Oh God.
Never been to Europe.
Oh, Jesus.
Most I know about Europe is from fucking movies. Hurgen Björgen.
It's European vacation only. So this truck was heading toward Tisfjord, was carrying 27 tons of this cheese called brunost.
That's so much cheese.
Brunost.
27 tons.
So this is a goat's milk cheese that they use so most cheese you take your cream and you separate the whey from the curds, right? And that's how you make most cheeses. This cheese apparently uses the whey, and for some reason whey is super flammable or something. I don't fucking know. It also makes this cheese look brown, and it's like not an appetizing looking cheese. It seems like something Norwegians would like, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
With their like salted cod or whatever the fuck else they eat. Whale.
My pine nut preserved mackerel.
God, just vinegar whale blubber. That was I did try that. I had that in Iceland. It's apparently some like traditional dish. It's fucking disgusting. And by the way, back in the day, the way they would keep it through the warm months, I guess, they'd bury it underground and piss on it.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah. And then dig it up when, they were ready to eat it, I guess.
Yeah, piss blubber. Yeah.
And yeah, so now there's like some day in Iceland where everybody eats
actually,
it.
If you only drink the piss from piss blubber, it's real good for you. And if you use it to preserve your cabbage, there's a big diet fad going on in north of Oslo.
If you did not listen to last week's episode on fad diets,
which we recorded a month and a half ago,
please go back and listen to it. It is pretty damn fucking funny.
Every culture has its own version of piss cabbage.
That's true. Dating all the way back to Cato the Elder.
Cato the Elder.
Yeah, Cato the Elder. By the way, I've designed.
climes.
We're not going to talk about last week's episode too much, but I have a great design for a T-shirt when we start doing merch. That's Cato the Elder piss cabbage. Yeah, believe me, it's great. Did I tell you? I think I told you about it. Anyway,
we mentioned
doesn't matter.
Anyway, so did they piss on this cheese?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Because I assume
have no idea.
in Norway you got to pee on a lot of stuff.
So this truckload of brown goat's milk called brunost caught fire. It took 4 to 5 days to put this shit out, and it was the truck was going through a tunnel when it ignited, right? Which is why it's surprising that the driver got away.
That sounds like the Cuba Gooding Jr. movie Chain Reaction.
It sounds like somebody wanted to kill this truck driver.
Also featuring Skeet Ulrich. Yeah, this sounds like an inside
like a
job.
hit. Yeah,
yeah.
It's a fucking hit job. Who is this truck driver?
How the fuck did 27 tons? Speaking of which, is this like the annual export of Brunost? Like,
You
do
know,
they? Is it big
There's
enough that they're
one
giving?
town in
they're,
Norway that eats all of it.
yeah, they're sending it hundreds of miles north of
Take it to
Oslo.
840 miles north of Oslo.
800 fucking.
Well, but Norway's a long, skinny boy.
yeah, I know.
Skinny
I
country.
get that, but at the same time, what's the next major city up that way?
Nothing.
Nothing.
It's
It's
that's
just
like in the Arctic
Every
Circle.
fucking house in Norway has Brunost brown cheese in it. Like, how many tons are going? And do they ship more tons of this cheese in other directions?
I have no idea. I mean, you got to figure through the winter months. They're not shipping fuck all up there.
Or do you think they're going up to like the Bruno storage facility? This is why we keep our cheese.
So I don't know, but what? So it
Sorry,
took,
that's the wrong country. This is where we keep the cheese.
the cheese will go to the warehouse in Tisfjord.
But okay, but then now who's the competitor that fucking set the bomb on the cheese shipment and timed it for this tunnel?
Whoever makes a different brand of sweet goat's milk, whether it's Brunost or something else, I have no idea. They're trying to take out Big Brunost.
The goat milk wars.
Maybe Brunost is the little guy, and like the big guy, like I don't know, big feta is trying to
they're
take him.
shipping 27 tons just north.
What do you think feta is getting out there, huh?
Feta's not a name brand.
I'm saying the big feta companies. Athena. What do you think? What do you think she's getting out there, huh?
Athena's just like sabotaging the fucking Bruno ship. It's like, you guys are
Fucking-
gonna get this fucking you guys are gonna get this cheese up there if it kills us.
27 tons.
And how did the people react this is a wacky disaster.
This is a
because
wacky disaster.
How did the people in northern Norway react when they couldn't get their annual shipment of
I don't know.
Brunost?
But here's the thing. It took 4 to 5 days to put it out as flames engulfed the tunnel and gases from the melting brown load hindered firefighters. That's not my words. That's, you know what? Yeah, sure. They're my words.
They had a hot brown load to deal
The
with.
melting brown load. The driver was not hurt, though. There were no other vehicles in the two.
Suspicious.
The tunnel is 2.2 miles long. There were no other drivers in there, right? The trucker driver said he was about 1,000 feet into the tunnel when he noticed his cargo of dark goat cheese was aflame.
Okay, all right. Hold on a second. 1,000 yards?
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet? That's almost a mile in.
1,000 feet? No.
Is that 1,000? Is it like 1,500?
No, 5,280 is a mile.
50? Okay. shit.
5,280.
I don't know math.
Yeah,
In the
that's
metric
okay.
system-
he was 2/10 of a mile in,
Okay.
roughly.
2/10 of a mile in. Regardless. So this fucking guy
It was 0.2 miles in.
driving into probably one of the longest tunnels in the world. And
Yeah,
there
it's
are no other drivers.
not one of the longest, but
It's
it's
the
it's a decent length.
middle of winter in Norway, right? It's completely
January, yeah. Yeah.
completely abandoned part of the world at this point. I'm willing to bet no other
And
drivers.
he was like, I have to get the Brunos to Tisfjord.
no, he fucking just pulls over and sets this bitch on fire. Runs out like, oh no!
Or, like I said, if this is a hit job, like, just imagine some Norwegian guy with a flame arrow, like as he's like hidden in the trees as he's going to the tunnel. This is it. This is it. I'm like it's fucking 1813 and not 2013. Like, it's like, it hits it right before it goes
Just,
into the tunnel.
skis away into the trees.
He just does a slalom as he. They're all so good at skiing. God damn it.
This is an inside
Even
job.
the
100%.
criminals can ski so
Because
well.
also, where is it coming from? Where do you know the factory is?
I have
Is
no
it in
fuck-
Oslo?
Why would I know where the
just wanna
Brunos
know, is it in
factory in Norway?
Oslo?
What a weird thing to ask me. It probably, maybe.
Because then it's an 800-mile trip with no incidents until he gets to the 2-mile-long tunnel. It's so obviously a fucking inside job.
he was close to Tisfjord, yeah.
And then
so,
how do the police interrogate him about this?
so
Do they have like a bunch of cheese
this is
in
the
the
official
room?
line. This is the official line, right? Officials suspect the high sugar and fat content in the Brunost and its arrangement on the truck caused a rapid spike in its temperature, leading to the
being
fire.
arranged around a bucket of fucking oil.
which by the way, the gases, the toxic gases from this fucking cheese burning for 5 days, right? Damaged the tunnel so bad, like the entrance to the tunnel damaged the concrete so bad that it had to be closed for a few weeks to be inspected and repaired.
Fucking smells like grilled cheese sandwiches for the rest of the time.
The director of the Norwegian Public Roads Administration said, "I didn't know the brown cheese burned so well."
No one did, because it doesn't. It's a fucking job. It's a hack job. It's a hit. Somebody, it's an op.
I want to know where the CEO of Kraft was that day.
The world's greatest cheese assassin got put on this job.
I need the CEO of Kraft to he better have an alibi. Better alibi out of this one. Where were you on January? It doesn't even have a date. It's just January of 2013. You know what? It's Norway. We don't care.
I feel just, man. I'm picturing. So I'm really into like true crime stuff. Not like super into it. Not like a weirdo like you. Just listen to fucking true crime podcasts all the time. But I listened to the Mindhunter audiobook. Yeah. Right? And there's one particular case where like girl got killed and this is the FBI guy.
This is Sam. What's the author's name? Sam something?
No, it's John something. John something. But it's called Mindhunter.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But the FBI profiler that like invented essentially profiling.
Oh boy.
But
oh boy,
he had this brilliant idea to like break a suspect by like having him come in for an interrogation, but having like the rock that he killed this girl with in the room.
Oh jeez.
So the guy's eyes keep like flickering over there, and it fucking unsettles him, and he gets like excited about it. I just picture fucking bringing the driver into the interrogation room, just having stacks of the cheese in the room, and he's just like, "Why is there so much cheese in here?"
By the way, Riley was acting like a nervous guy and like scratching himself and go, "Why is there so much cheese in here?" You really acted it out.
I'm also in a sling. So it's a running bit with this podcast. If you're just tuning in, it's a running bit that I talk with my hands and I act things out on the fucking radio.
Oh yeah.
But my left arm is in a sling right now. I'm still doing it with the right.
And yet, by the way, I'm the one who gets called out on it every single time. You're like, "Oh, Pat just did air quotes. Oh, Pat just."
Fuck you.
Okay. Hey, let's get the fuck out of Norway, shall we?
Yeah, that's what the guy who shot the fucking arrow into the cheese said.
When he got back on his helicopter
to get to the border
with the big fucking, I don't know who's another big cheese company.
Baby Bell.
The bright red helicopter with the Baby Bell cow on the side. Let's get the fuck out of Norway.
He gets like a big envelope encased in wax. He's got to rip it open to get the check. 10 million euro.
He's gonna pull a wax tab off the door of the helicopter to open it and get in. Oh my god!
And he's just going to Switzerland anyway because there's no extradition, so it's like a 20-minute flight.
He just goes up.
You can literally
over 10 feet.
Not even. He just fucking skis. Just downhill until he hits Switzerland.
Just slalom all the way to Switzerland, baby. You got to get through like a lot to get to Switzerland.
I know this is all hyperbolic.
Germany's
obvious. I don't even know.
Germany's pretty.
I don't know the
way.
topography of fucking the Swiss Alps.
Switzerland's down. You gotta get down there. Anyway, so we're gonna go. We're staying pretty close. We're going to Dublin. We're going to Ireland for the Dublin Whiskey Fire.
It's fun.
I'm surprised you had no reaction to this.
Whatever happens is going to be horrifying.
Yeah, this one's got some fatalities for sure. This one's definitely got some fatalities. So Dublin Whiskey Fire, we got to go back a little ways for this one. This actually took place in June 18th of 1875.
Ah.
So we got to go back a long time.
I might have some of my relatives tied up in that, actually.
Yeah. If I had some, I might have too.
I got some genealogy stuff here recently, and a lot of my ancestors got to the Americas around 1900.
Where in Ireland is Dublin located?
Dublin's south.
It is south, right?
Belfast is north.
Yeah, that's right. So my understanding is that most of my my Irish ancestry is from Northern Ireland. The Dublin Whiskey Fire took place in
Dublin.
In 1875, June 18th, in the Liberties area of Dublin, right? It only lasted one night, but it killed 13 people. We're going to get into these 13 people dying because
I'm actually kind of full of shit. Dublin is like eastern central Ireland.
Oh, you didn't.
Cork is the south, but then Belfast is north.
Okay, you could have let the Twitter people add us on that one, and
I don't know, just
I'm just saying
it's definitely southernly.
Could have really gotten some frustrations out on that. Just like, I don't give a fuck. Episode's over.
Give a fuck.
But anyway, so like I said, 13 people killed. We're gonna go into that in just a sec because you're gonna enjoy it. It resulted in.
That sounds fucking bleak.
This is adjusted into today.
You're really gonna like that these guys died. I'm gonna tell you.
No. You're not. You know, you'll see. You'll see when we get there. So, adjusted for modern day, it resulted in about $6 million worth of damage in just whiskey. Right. So people drank from the 6-inch deep river of whiskey that's said to have flowed as far as the Combe, which is a street there in
The
Dublin.
cum?
Yeah.
The C-U-M? The cum?
Coombe.
They drank of the cum?
They drank the Combe. We're going out. We're drinking the Combe. Come on, Billy. Bring your hat.
You just do it like a Liam Neeson. Just like, we're going to drink the cum.
We're going. There's a river of whiskey, and we're gonna drink the Combe. Wait, what? So none of the fatalities suffered during this. Okay. I don't think.
Or what
We
happened?
have to get into. Okay. Let's get into
Right
this.
now we got a river of cum burning its way through Dublin.
So yes, it's a whiskey fire. So it started in the warehouse where all these barrels of whiskey were stored. Right.
Uh-huh.
Somehow a fire started there, and as these barrels started
It's an
burning,
inside job. It was the Scotch brokers.
did anyone see Maker's Mark? Did anyone see a Maker's Mark helicopter?
Clan McGregor coming from the Highlands that rode over.
Did the guy have to pull a wax tab to get into the helicopter with a
Fucking
big Maker's
Baby
Mark
Bell
on the
again.
side?
Oh, okay. The wax seal.
The wax seal. I knew it. So
Turns out all of this caused by the red wax manufacturers.
it's really just
they got their
big
fingers
red
in
wax.
every pot.
big red wax is pulling all the strings here. So as these barrels started burning, the contents, which was whiskey, right, started flowing through the streets.
Oh, so it's okay. Hold on, because it's not as though if okay. So if you're there's a fire that's causing these casks to split and pop open, you know, whatever, the bands or the wood burns through or what. The whiskey's not going to put that fire out.
Oh no
So we've got literal rivers of burning.
Oh, this
liquid.
is all cask strength.
Barreled in bond, fucking
Yeah,
like
this is all bonded
130
like
proof whiskey.
Yeah,
just so diesel fuel, just burning its way through Dublin.
which is a wonderful segue that brings us to our fatalities. None of the fatalities happened from the fire itself. No smoke inhalation, no burns, no other direct contact with the fire itself. All of them were attributed to alcohol poisoning because people were drinking undiluted whiskey running through the streets
Oh God!
that had been stored in casks that had just recently exploded. So the alcohol, because it was so much more potent,
Probably concentrated. No, I guess the alcohol would be burning off of it. It wouldn't like concentrate into it.
the stuff that burned.
Yeah, the stuff that
The
burned.
stuff
still gonna
that
fuck you up.
burned. So people nearby were initially alerted to the fire because the pigs squealing. There were some livestock pens sort of next to it that had caught fire, and so they hear these pigs squealing and everything. But
Wake up the pigs.
Mary McSweeney, the pigs are squealing. What's going on? There's whiskey in the river. There's whiskey in the streets. So actually, the pigs were part of the reason why so few people got hurt, because the pigs screaming was kind of, everybody woke up and started to evacuate. They realized what was going on. So the Lord Mayor of
They all
Dublin,
said, "Hot damn, get me a bucket."
yeah. Oh, yeah. So during the evacuation, people were gathered by the streams of whiskey, filling any vessel, quote, any vessel at hand with the substance, caps, porringers, and other vessels. Irishmen were putting whiskey in their hats.
If that's not the most fucking Irish shit I've ever. You got like you get the whiskey dripping off of something in your hat. It's on fire. You're just blowing it out.
There were 24 hospitalizations due to alcohol poisoning and 13 subsequent fatalities. However, the Lord Mayor of Dublin at the time, Peter Paul McSweeney, is quoted as saying, "The short time given for escape in some places during the progress of the fire was so short, I was apprehensive that some people should be left in danger in the garrets and cellars of the district. But on inquiry, I was happy to learn that no life was lost during the great conflagration."
I think that's a good accent. I think it'd be more fun if it was a little more hi.
The time given for escape in some places during the progress of the fire was so short, I was apprehensive that some people should be left in danger in the garrets and cellars of the district. But on inquiry, I was happy to learn that no life was lost during the great conflagration. Is that better? Do you like that one?
Yeah, it's great. This
I went from Liam Neeson to fucking Lucky Charms.
Small segue. Okay, I don't know if there are any fans here of the great Scatman John.
Why is this coming up?
Because all right, so I went to the Springs. The reason my shoulder's all fucked up is because I went swimming camping and swimming with my family this weekend and fucked myself up.
Florida has beautiful natural springs in the center of the state. That's
fairly strong currents. And I already had like a repetitive stress injury from work.
If you look up Florida natural springs, you'll see beautiful pictures, and we go there all the time because it's only like an hour away.
Yeah,
hour and 40 minutes.
It's fucking cheap and it's fun. And it's cool and yeah, it's cool. But so while I was there, somebody, Scatman John, by the way, is the man responsible for the.
I'm the Scatman
for the
Ba-da-ba dabba wee bop bop ba Everybody knows it.
Okay, but he also, on that same album that he released, Scatman, he did a song called "The Song of Scatland."
So bad.
Woof.
It's so
he
bad.
had some great intentions. But while I was at the Springs camping, the people camped across the way from me were listening to that fucking album.
That's hot.
And my daughter was horrified when the Song of Scatland came on, and I knew every fucking word. And she's like, "Why are you this?"
The first time I heard that song, there's a line where he says, "The people of Scatland all speak Scottish," and I thought he said Spanish. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, you were there."
No,
when
this
that
is
happened.
what I'm saying. This is the analysis of that. It says the people of Scotland speak in Scottish. Scottish is a language not quite like a leprechaun.
That's what, yeah. And I was
we
like,
were like,
and I
what
thought
the
he said Spanish.
We're like, what the fuck is he talking about?
I was
And
like,
then we figured
Spanish
out.
is a language like a leprechaun? What is this guy saying?
Then we figured out that when he's saying Scottish, the land of Scotland, okay, is it's a world where
fictional world that Scatman John
political
made up.
corruption is unheard of.
Everything
It's
is unheard
unheard
of. Everything is unheard
Highly
of.
recommend the song.
And
But
he will creepily tell you how
he-
unheard of it is.
very nice man.
It's
He had a stutter
unheard
that he
of.
covered with scatting, which is funny. But I'm not mocking the guy.
He also chose to die rather than stop scatting.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah.
That is, look it up. So anyway, but we figured out, because Patrick and I listened to this extensively together, by the way.
That is.
He says
He
people-
texted me from the Springs going, "Oh my God, the people across from me in the campsite are listening to Scotland," and I was like, "Oh boy."
But he says the people of Scotland speak in Scottish. Scottish is a language not quite like a leprechaun. And we're like, the fuck does that mean? And we're thinking about it. Then it clicked that, like, you know, isn't too far away from hard heat hide herd hold hard heat her. And that's like the leprechaun scat.
But again, when we first heard it, I thought he said the people in Scotland all speak Spanish. Spanish is a language not quite like a leprechaun.
And that's where we said, like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Hey, don't touch my Lucky Charms, okay, homie?
If we believe in love.
Let's get to the next.
Scatman John's The
Wacky
Song
Disaster.
of Scotland. Please look it up.
The next wacky disaster is the jelly bean explosion of Scotland.
That's unheard of.
Yes. Okay, it's actually the Casserate Tapioca Fire. Casserate is a shipping vessel, and we're going to get into this in one second.
Shit.
This happened on September 14th of 1972. Okay,
Good year for tapioca fires.
uh,
Actually, that's a bad year for shipping ships in general.
shipping ships.
'Cause I'm pretty sure that's the year that Dino De Laurentiis' King Kong came out.
Is it
I don't know.
72?
I mean, that's a pretty good guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
They use on a shipping container as well. It's
So this happened in September 72, right?
Mhm.
This happened in Wales, but this is a 12,000 ton Swiss vessel, right?
dang.
12,000 ton. It was shipping. It had timbers stacked in the upper holds of the ship. While they were at sea, somehow these timbers stacked on the upper holds of the ship, again, however many fucking tons, I don't see how much wood was on there ton wise, but
How much wood would a wood ship if a wood ship would ship wood?
okay. Before they docked in Cardiff, Wales, right? 25 days earlier, nearly a fucking month, the timbers on the upper deck of the ship had caught fire, right? While they were at sea, the crew was able to keep it under control. The good thing about being at sea is, you got plenty of fucking water.
Catching on fire on the ocean, inside job.
I can't think of a red wax tapioca brand. I'm sorry.
Waterproof matches? No,
No.
because it's timber, right?
Well, the timber. We're gonna get into this, right?
Okay.
We're swimming through the tapioca right now. So the crew was able to keep it under control for the 25 days between when it caught fire and when it got to Cardiff, Wales. However, when the ship did get to Wales, and like actual Welsh firemen moved in, Welsh firemen, cool name for a band. They moved
I thought
in,
you were just gonna be like Welsh fireman, hot. I'm into that.
Welsh firemen, boner alert. Anyway, so when the Welsh firemen moved into when the Welsh firemen moved in to parentheses boner alert, moved in to quench the flames. There was they moved in to quench my
the
heart.
flames of my heart. Yeah.
There was a problem that they noticed. The lower holds of the ship had 1,500 tons, 1,500 tons of tapioca, right? So the water that they had been using for 25 days to put out the fire on the upper holds of the ship
Oh shit.
had seeped down into the lower holds where the tapioca was and started to swell the tapioca. And then the heat from the fire against the steel panels of the ship turned it into a big fucking oven and was cooking the tapioca and causing the whole thing to it literally was about to burst the steel plates on the ship when they came in. Like they were
Okay, all right, hold on a second.
they were within a day of just dying
So
at sea.
just hear me out for just a moment. When the forensics guy looking at the burnt timbers
Uh-huh.
realized that the water had seeped through and was getting into the tapioca. And he turns around, he says, "Hey, water that you used to put out this fire has seeped through the decks into all your tapioca." And somebody said, "How do you know?" And he took out a pair of sunglasses and put them on. He said, "The proof is in the pudding."
Oh my God.
Yeah! Boom.
It was it was a long walk to get there. We had to walk around the corner, but it was a good joke. It
Yeah,
was a good,
you're welcome.
it was-
Really had to
like
tap dance
like
around
if
the
we-
issue
if
for
we
that one.
that's like if you took me 5 blocks down the street to show me a house that's for sale. It was a nice house, but it was a fucking long walk.
That was the best part of this episode, and you're all very, very welcome.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna put forth for contention, if I can say for myself, my Liam Neeson to Lucky Charms Leprechaun
It's not bad.
rendition
That's not
of
bad.
the High Mayor of Dublin or whatever his name was. So once they ported, they were able to remove the lumber. The plan was to unload the tapioca into trucks and then haul it off for disposal. One estimate was that there was enough tapioca to fill 500 trucks.
Holy fuck.
500 trucks in and out filled with
What
baked tapioca.
what kind of baked tapioca?
Another great name for
That's
a
not
band.
bad. What's also a nickname of mine.
Baked tapioca.
I give off a strangely sweet but
That's what
acrid odor.
That's what they called me at the retirement home.
But what are we talking about? Trucks? Are we talking like F-150s or like
No, I
little street
I
trucks,
think probably
or like
big.
U-Hauls, like big ass like.
No, I think probably like dump trucks. Like,
Like-
how are you gonna put?
like-
What are you gonna put tapioca into the bed of an F-150?
I mean, I don't know how many fucking dumb. What do they got? Are they got like a crane carrying all this tapioca out? Not sluicing it out.
I would say they probably have like a backhoe taking it out from the lower holds and then doinking it into like a dump truck.
Well, gross.
So my favorite is the last line of my notes here, and I had to put this in because when I was doing my research, this is what I said. This is the exact line. Luckily, the pressure began to subside, and the decision was made to sail the ship to Rotterdam and let the Dutch deal with the problem. Which I was like, that's hilarious.
Just fucking, that's how they used to deal with ships full of plague rats. They're just like, ship that fucking down the lane.
Let the Dutch let's let the Dutch deal with the problem.
And honestly, I'll bet you the fucking rats were having a holiday.
Specifically the Dutch, though, I feel like that part made me laugh.
Fun historical note. This is right in line.
The Dutch are horrible.
Fun historical note. Fuck the Dutch.
Jesus.
No, but this is actually kind of like a plot device that's been used in literature, like in the Napoleonic Seafaring Tales of Horatio Hornblower by C.S. Forester.
Okay.
I have a thing for Napoleonic warfare shit. I don't know why. Love Master and Commander of the Far Side of the World. You ever see that one? Fucking great movie. But in the Horatio Hornblower books, there is like one of the adventures where like somebody's shipping rice from fucking India, and the hull gets damaged in a battle, and so like these guys are sailing this ship away, and then the rice expands, the ship fucking falls apart.
I was gonna say that may be based off of this.
No, I think this is I'm gonna flip it, reverse it, but I think it's just an interesting device.
Why do you think
I don't
you
think
flip
that
it and
this
reverse it?
situation is based off that book.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, this was the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Horatio Hornblower is.
Oh, this was a real thing in the book, or this was
this happened. This happened.
Oh, I
it
thought
was
you
a
were talking
fictional
about a
book.
fictional
Yeah.
novel. Oh, okay. Anyway, life imitates art. Then I guess.
Or vice versa. Wait,
no. I'm done. Art imitates your asshole.
Hey, you know,
I don't know. You know what? I'm not
gonna give me some attitude. I will talk
mad.
about different plot lines that happened in C.S. Forester's Horatio Hornblower saga.
I will talk about
Look
different
out.
plot lines that happened in CSI Miami.
Well, I mean, going full circle there.
Yeah, I wanted to do a fun callback. So, all right, you ready for the next one? Because this one's just, when I say the name, you're gonna be like, huh?
Sure.
Pepsi fruit juice flood. And by the way, it's not spelled FROOTJOOSE.
Fruit juice.
With a little trademark on it. Pepsi fruit juice flood. By the way, this happened in 2017. This happened on April 25th of 2017.
Well, if anything,
3 days before my 26th birthday.
if I've learned anything,
36th birthday. How old am I?
How old are you?
36th birthday.
I'm 36 right now. If I've learned anything from this podcast, it's that bad things are still happening.
Yeah. I think there's a presidential debate that's about.
Oh yeah, speaking of fucking historical
going
disasters,
straight through.
can we take a quick second? Okay, guys.
No, if it's political, I'm editing.
I'm not.
it
No,
straight
hey,
out.
you know what? Listen, it's politically based in history. That's all. Okay.
All right.
Tonight is the night of. We're recording this on June 27th, 2024. Right, 2024. That's where we're at. Tonight's the night of the first presidential debate of the 2024 elections. It is worth noting that both of the people debating, current President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump, are completely uncontested in any way. There was not even a discussion of other candidates. There was no primary.
Robert Kennedy's still in the mix.
He is, but he's not. They're not letting him debate. So it's just these two guys who we've seen debate before, and it was one of the most laughable debacles in the history of American politics.
Before, and
I don't know.
Boy.
I don't know what to take from the situation at hand right now, but it is safe to say that tonight we will be facing yet another historic disaster.
But hey, Pepsi fruit juice. This podcast
Fruit
brought
Juice.
to you by this debate brought to you by Pepsi fruit juice. If that sounds crazy, wait till you watch these two old guys debate.
I remember.
And now back to Delete Everything
I
podcast.
remember when I used to eat Pepsi fruit juice at the sock
All right.
hop back in bingo. That's my Biden.
It was the best. It was the best fruit juice.
He's the best fruit juice.
Everyone's saying it. They're all saying it.
You remember Pepsi fruit juice?
So the most fruit. On April 25th of 2017.
If I'm going to say anything political, it's that everything's a nightmare.
God, take me to space.
Somebody fucking burn us down.
All right. So, this happened in Russia. Apparently, in Russia, you get Pepsi fruit juice.
That sounds like a Russia thing.
It does sound like you got to wait in line for beets and Pepsi fruit juice.
In Soviet Russia, you juice Pepsi.
Oh my God. So apparently the PepsiCo warehouse's roof collapsed unexpectedly.
Tracks.
The warehouse was located in Lebedian, where the Pepsi fruit juice is made. Yeah. So this is the center, by the way.
Made from Pepsi fruit?
This is
It's no water. We use Pepsi water fruit.
We bring in Pepsi fruit from.
Makes fruit very sweet.
We don't ask questions. We just take truck of Pepsi fruit and we turn it to juice.
Sometimes fruit talk, we kill.
We simply work our 17-hour shift and then we take home credits to buy food and necessities from Pepsi.
Yes, Pepsi.
Is credits only good to give back to Pepsi?
We choose Pepsi fruit. You know another way to make Pepsi fruit vodka?
So, apparently here in Lebedian is the center of PepsiCo's operations in Russia. So it's really happening spot probably. It's operated by the PepsiCo subsidiary Lebediansky in Lebedian. We have Lebediansky. They operate PepsiCo subsidiary.
Lebediansky. Pause then refresh.
The warehouse contained 48 Russian guys in a rave and 3 Russian women that went on until the sun came up. Also,
you're saying there was a rave going on when the roof?
No, I was just thinking of the most Russian warehouse thing that could happen. Yeah. Yeah, the fire sprinkler started spraying blood and Blade had to kill
Wesley
everyone.
Snipes comes out of nowhere.
The Daywalker, he came through.
Scatman's going off in the background.
No, I was thinking of the most Russian warehouse thing I could think of, and that was it. No, the warehouse actually contained a variety of fruit and vegetable juices. Again, made by PepsiCo.
Pepsi Russian fruit juice. It's
Jesus Christ.
This fucking Fallout shit. Like fruit glowing.
No shit, right? It's okay. My testicles, they were probably going to fall off anyway. But the collapse of the roof caused 2 minor injuries and sent 7.4 million gallons of juice into the streets of Lebedian and the Don River. No deaths, though. No deaths from the spill. There, you can find pictures.
No, actually prevented deaths.
From fucking diabetes.
That's a bunch of kids got vitamin C for the first time.
You think that Pepsi fruit juice has vitamin C in it?
Mother, the river tastes like sunshine.
You can actually find pictures online, and it's just like little shallow rivers everywhere through the streets of like orange and red and like pink fruit
Sunny
juices.
delight. It's like Sunny delight in the
effectively, yes. Oh boy. This one is probably actually. I thought that the Boston Molasses disaster was going to be the worst one. There's another callback. This one's probably the worst one, honestly, and I had forgotten about this until just now. The Denora death fog.
Ooh, that doesn't sound fun.
which sounds like a metal band.
That is a great name. Death Fog, Denora Death
We've
Fog.
come up with 3 cool band names in this episode.
Fuck yeah.
By the way, just FYI, you guys, I keep a list of all the things that we say in the podcast. Like when I go through and edit, every time we're like, cool band name, I have a list. And probably we'll just eventually just say them all off. And then you'd like anybody who listens that wants to come up with cool band names can take any.
You know, it'd be rad actually, because
is that if people had to pay us on
there's
Patreon?
well, like so.
You want our band names, motherfucker?
We did a lot of research, or I did a lot of research on like merchandising stuff for podcasts, looking at like like what do you want, embroidered towels or some shit. But you can like there are a lot of different sites that you could just send a design in. And they won't make like a fuckload of T-shirts. They won't make like boxes of them.
Okay.
They'll just make one for you.
Okay.
Like print it
Okay.
out. So it'd be fun if we did designs for all of the band names. And if you wanted, a fucking shirt
You
with
could
like
just
the
have-
Denora
yeah.
Death Fog.
We should make cool band shirts with the things that we say cool band name.
That's cool.
Can we do a shower curtain that's got our logo in the middle, and then it's just each of us facing it, like the silhouette of us naked, just facing the logo.
I'm sure. I think it'd be good if we could just.
We can make enhancements where necessary.
We'll figure out the measurements so that we each get personalized bath showers. You're a little taller than me, where just like the logo just covers where the cock and balls would be, but the rest is totally clear.
Yeah, we can do it askew. So because just because of our height difference, my
cut a little at the
penis,
top, cut a little bottom.
my penis sits higher than yours does. It's a general.
Yeah, generally, yeah, I would say, yeah.
We have different
In our past
heights.
experience, that's been.
We have very different heights. All right, so the Denora Death Fog. This was a smog event in October of 1948 that killed 20 people.
Jesus Christ,
20 people. This happened, by the way, insanely. So when I started telling you about this happened on Halloween or through the Halloween weekend.
Jesus.
Of 1948 in Denora, Pennsylvania.
That's a fucking horror movie.
When I start describing this to you, you're going to be like, holy shit, it is a horror movie, right? So the fog started building up in Denora, Pennsylvania on Wednesday, October 27th of 48, right? By the following day, it was causing coughing and other signs of respiratory distress for a bunch of residents of the community of the Monongahela River Valley. Monongahela River Valley. This is an Indian name. I'm not Native American, so I'm not going to be able to say that. A bunch of the illnesses and deaths, initially they were like, oh, it's asthma. It's just asthma. No big deal, right? However, the smog...
It's an epidemic of asthma
The
deaths.
smog continued for the next 3-4 days until it finally rained on October 31st, Halloween. By which yeah, no shit. By which time 20 residents of Denora had died, and approximately 1/3 to half of the town's population of 14,000 residents had been sickened.
Holy fuck.
1/3 to half. So somewhere between, I don't know, 2,500, give or take. No, that's inaccurate. 400 and something. Somewhere between almost 500 to 1,000. Jesus Christ. It is late and I've been working in the sun all day. Somewhere between 5,000-ish.
It is 8:00 p.m.
Right? Is it? It is. Somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000. Let's just call it. Keep it simple, right?
So what was the sickening entail though? Are they puking blood? Are they craving brains? Are they turning on each other? Are they limping through the streets and ripping apart citizens?
No, they were eating brains. So they were eating brains. It's not like I sang a song.
They were eating brains. They were eating brains.
But
Denora Death Fog. They were eating brains.
So in those 4 days, right, 20 residents died. Another 50 residents died of respiratory causes within a month after the incident.
Oh shit! So the death toll's like fucking 70 people.
70 so far, and when I get into this,
Jesus Christ!
When I get into this, you're gonna be like, holy shit! People probably had issues forever, and this probably did eventually kill everybody there, right? So. Hydrogen fluoride and sulfur dioxide emissions from the U.S. Steel's Denora Zinc Works and its American Steel and Wire plant were frequent occurrences in Denora. what made the 1948 event more severe was something called a temperature inversion, right? Temperature inversion is when you have warmer air up top in the in the atmosphere, and that traps any pollution that would normally dissipate, traps it in a colder layer of air that's down on the surface, right?
So instead of these things usually which go scatter out into the atmosphere, the stratosphere a little bit, and might get swept around, maybe have some ill effects over a long distance, over years
acid
and
rain
years
somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, like definitely
point.
like isn't good. Like there'll be some deformed ass babies within like 100-mile radius, but this is just this whole cloud just gets sunk on this town. And the results are immediate.
And it's funny you talking about some things in a radius, because I'm going to get into that too. So listen, the pollutants in the air mixed with this fog that sat in this temperature inversion for 5 days. Yeah, for 5 days.
Damn.
Right.
The fucking pressure cooker.
The pollutants mixed with the fog to form a thick, yellowish, acrid smog that hung over Denora for 5 days. The sulfuric acid, nitrogen dioxide, fluorine, and other poisonous gases that usually disperse in the atmosphere were caught in the inversion, accumulated until the rain ended that weather pattern on Halloween, right? So,
dude, that is horrifying.
Yeah, dude. So we've got 70 people dead already within the first month of the shit, right? So researchers that have analyzed everything that happened, this whole event, have focused the blame on pollutants from the zinc plant, whose emissions had killed almost all vegetation within a half-mile radius of the plant. So go in any direction a half a fucking mile from this plant, and everything's dead.
Yeah. I mean, zinc, dude.
Yeah.
Did you know the first person who was going to play the
xylophone,
the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz? What's his name? He was the guy who played Jeb on the Beverly Hillbillies. Actually, Buddy Ebsen. Buddy Ebsen is a great dancer and performer. He was going to be the Tin Man at The Wizard of Oz. So they painted him all over his body with this tin paint, right? But
it probably had lead.
But it was made with fucking zinc.
And probably
and
lead.
He almost died.
Oh my god!
Like the only reason he didn't die is like they didn't paint like his feet. Like seriously, like this shit wouldn't come off, and his skin could breathe just enough through his feet that he was able to survive. But zinc is fucking awful, dude.
So Dr. Deborah L. Davis, the director of the Center for Environmental Oncology at the University of Pittsburgh Cancer
Deborah
Institute.
Davis of the Denora Death Fog.
Deborah Davis is
Denora Death Fog.
Deborah Davis has delved into the Denora Death Fog. That was hard. How deeply did Deborah Davis dive? Jesus Christ!
How deep?
Delve.
Deborah?
How deeply did Deborah Davis delve into the Denora Death Fog?
How deeply did Deborah Davis delve in the days of the Denora Death Fog?
Jesus Christ. Okay. So she has pointed to autopsy results showing fluorine levels in victims in the lethal range as much as 20 times higher than normal.
Look.
Fluorine gas generated in the zinc smelting process became trapped by the stagnant air and was the primary cause of the deaths. So, yeah, I mean, that's shit, gnarly. Dog.
Dude, like towns around mining facilities.
Fluorine levels like 20 times higher than normal.
Where's the Denora?
Lethal.
What state is this in?
This is in Pennsylvania.
Around like Pittsburgh area? Like steelworker?
I'm not sure where exactly it is.
Because I know that if you go further west, there are a lot of like desert towns and plain cities, like around like Kansas City and shit like that. You'll find like chat piles. You familiar with chat piles? They're essentially I'm
familiar with scat piles.
Yeah, scat piles are the chat pile equivalent in the land of Scatland, where people speak in Scottish.
I thought that was just piles of animal shit, but okay.
They've never heard of political corruption and all the other problems that
it's
human
unheard
people.
of.
Somebody's got to listen to that and then get back.
Please, everybody, listen to. What is the name of the fucking song?
This is the Song of
Scatland.
Scatland.
Yeah, by Scatman John.
All right, so chat piles are the byproduct of
I
like
want to say
radium.
That's unheard of so badly right now.
That's unheard of.
It's unheard of.
Believe me, baby.
Actually, you know what? Don't just listen to the song. Watch the video on YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It is supposed to be uplifting, but it seems kind of
Real
creepy,
good-
and you're
real
like,
good dolphin action. in
what's
that
this old guy with these children, and then what the fuck's going on with these dolphins? Just trust me, watch the video.
one. But anyway, so a chat pile
Okay.
is a byproduct, the leftovers from uranium mining, or mining for most irradiated materials or materials you'd use to make irradiated
Chat
things.
pile sounded like a fun place to hang out.
No, it's not. They find those around like mineral mining towns out in Kansas or the plains or out in west in Nevada
Okay.
and stuff like that. And essentially, it's like there's no place you could put them. You could bury them back in the earth, but we're talking about like big fucking mountains of
Yeah, no, you can't.
lightly irradiated fucking nuclear fallout shit.
Yeah, you have to go find a
it's
super
just-
fun site or create a super fun
and
site.
they usually don't bother anybody for the most part. People stay the fuck away from them until there's something that happens pretty often in the plain states known as a tornado.
Oh my god!
So you like
shut up.
this is a real phenomenon. You will get fucking radiation tornadoes
Jeez.
that will poison entire towns.
We have done so many terrible things to this planet. It's amazing.
time to
that
go.
It lets us
It's
hang
time
out.
to
Like,
go.
The dinosaurs got wiped out, and they didn't do half of what we did to this fucking place.
Yeah, this is the. I think we can call it quits.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
radiation tornadoes and
Radiation
the fucking
tornadoes.
presidential debate tonight. I don't even know which one I'm more upset about.
Oh boy! So hey, by the way, there was another woman, Mary Amdor, who conducted a study about the effects of the smog, and she was pressured to withdraw her publication of these results, but refused to be bowed. The U.S. Steel, was it U.S. Steel that owned the plant? Yeah, U.S. Steel and American Steel. There were multiple lawsuits. I mean, it really they just completely fucked this entire area. And like I said, there's a really good, I like to give, credit where credit's due. There's a magazine article. It's like maybe a 10 to 15 minute read, on the Smithsonian Magazine, about the Denora death fog. That was really cool. There's also a book by Andy McPhee. I'm not sure about the book. I know the article by the Smithsonian Magazine was rad, but I would imagine that all these delve a bit deeper into this because literally it decimated that whole area, like in terms of health and all that stuff for a long
It's a
time.
truly horrifying story.
And then I believe they shut down the plants, and then that just financially destroyed the whole area. And it's like, you just fucked an entire town of 14,000 people.
And as I was saying,
by the way, the you know how I said a third to half, so somewhere between 4,000 and something and 7,000 people sick in those few days. There were 8 doctors in that town. 8 doctors.
like I was saying earlier, when I think of horrifying situations, you hear about, sometimes it's really hard to hold the horror of a situation like that in the capacity of your fucking head, physically even.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of doctors from the Holocaust report not even feeling emotion most of the time because they were just fucking doing their shit day to day.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I just think about what the aesthetic, the look of this whole fucking town must have been. And if you're is a respiratory illness shit, you're breathing zinc, probably coughing up fucking
yellow
blood.
smog, and you're dying.
And
lungs are burning.
where are these doctors putting up their emergency medical shit in the gymnasium or something? People fucking coughing up blood and just dying en masse, and you don't know what the fuck's going on.
So it said a third to half were sick. You have to assume they made, maybe a third of them actually sought medical attention, and then a lot of people probably afterward were like, oh yeah, I was sick, I just stayed home. So that's where they probably got the estimate a third to half. But I mean, yeah, it's fucking insane.
I wonder what the not military response, but what would the state response would be? Because obviously, all right, so that shit happens to you today.
Well, I mean,
yellow fog's rolling in and fucking it's making you cough and shit. You have a son,
Yeah.
you've got kids here in this house.
Uh-huh.
The first reaction is going to be, let's get in the car and get the fuck out of here, right?
Probably yes.
Right. So
yes.
what do you think the state response is to all these people who are hacking their lungs out and fucking obviously getting very sick before they know that it's the zinc in the air? Are they keeping people in the town?
Fluorine and hydrogen chloride and so many things.
Are they quarantining? Is this a fucking you can't get out of town situation?
I fuck if I know, man.
Because Jesus Christ. Just the horror, thinking of the horror of that situation in a real world context is overwhelming.
For sure. So let's check it out. This is a little bit of the aftermath I just pulled up, right? So they obviously lawsuits were filed. U.S. Steel never acknowledged responsibility for the incident. They called it an act of God. Well, I guess the weather pattern maybe, but not the fact that you were just blowing toxic fucking like amounts of fluorine and hydrogen chloride and all that into the air.
Yeah,
like
fucking God didn't pull the zinc out of the earth.
This
and
actually,
fucking,
incidentally, this actually was a huge trigger for the passage of the Clean Air Act and the EPA and everything. Like this whole event was like very crucial in all of that. But so
what year was this again?
This was in 48.
I feel like 1948 is kind of like prime Men in Black territory. You know what I mean? Like, like the classic, like fucking, Hoover's feds show up with the fucking black sunglasses and the tight black shirt. Well, okay. So like the Men in Black conceit, and I love those movies. Don't get me wrong.
You're talking about guys.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the original, like
sunglasses.
Because it was. I mean, we're talking from the 40s into the late 90s when that movie came out. That it was like, you'd see on fucking X-Files and shit. But
yeah, those were like the government spooks.
The spooks, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is prime territory for that, for them showing up and just being like, "You can't leave the town. We're shutting this down. Shut it down over there." Boy. Dragging people away to undisclosed locations and just like we're quarantining the village.
Yeah. So the Denora was like the first large scale epidemiological investigation of like an environmental health disaster. There were like multiple publications. There are books. Like I said, there's this book called Denora Death Fog by Andy McPhee that was just last year. I think it was written and released.
Actually, let's fucking look that up on Audible right now.
So it was also for those fans of the show The Crown on Netflix. It was there was a similar event that was supposed to take place in London in one of the episodes that was based off of the Denora death smog incident that happened. So there's a lot. There's been a lot. There was an article. I mean, there's just like so much stuff that media wise that's come out of this. But the long story short, I mean, I think the settlement that U.S. Steel paid was about $235,000.
Holy shit, dude. Have you seen these pictures?
I don't know that I want to.
Holy shit.
I remember seeing some, but it was like...
That is some fucking Silent Hill shit.
Yeah.
Like, God, they're all black and white pictures.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially because they're all black and white.
Fuck.
Yeah, so of the $235,000 that U.S. Steel paid, that was dispensed between 80-ish victims was that that were part of the lawsuit.
Jesus.
So I mean, also by the time you figure legal expenses and all that stuff, representatives for American Steel and Wire settled for more than $4.6 million damage. They settled, but they I guess tried to say that they were prepared to show at the trial that the smog had been caused by a freak weather condition that trapped over Denora all the smog coming from the homes, railroads, steamboats, and exhaust from automobiles, as well as the effluents from its plants.
Fucking scumbags.
So they were, yeah, exactly. They did the typical fucking,
Hey,
we didn't do anything.
This whole town would have been poisoned even if we weren't mining poisonous materials right next to it.
And within a year of the disaster, by 1949, the total value of the residential property in Denora had declined by nearly 10% already within a year. So
yeah, I wonder why.
You got to figure,
it had something to do with the death fog.
Yeah. and then 10 years later, a little over 10 years later, you've got the Clean Air Act and all that stuff. They probably got the fuck out of town. And then, I mean, I would love to see what Denora, Pennsylvania is nowadays in terms of...
Guys, if you come right through here, here's a lovely little 2-bedroom townhouse.
Yeah.
The previous owners, died of some mysterious fog that apparently can roll through town at any time. It kills pretty much anyone it touches and makes you vomit blood.
Well, apparently...
We're starting at 1905.
Well, no, we're gonna give you 19.5,
And we're
to
gonna
move
replace
in.
we're gonna
You
replace
can
this
have
back
that.
deck.
Thank you for just.
We're getting all new windows.
So apparently,
Keep out the death fog.
fewer than 6,000 people live in that area. So between
Yeah, I wonder fucking why.
in 80 years, less than 80 years, that town has lost more than half its population.
I would
population.
be absolutely shocked to find out this was an isolated incident and that there were not.
Of course not.
I mean, like, under those conditions, I'd be shocked to find out that, like, 10 years later, there wasn't like a small uptick in fucking, lung cancer or something.
If
or
you pay
like,
attention to the epidemiology,
yeah,
of that
or
town.
the birth defect rate or miscarriage rate is probably off the charts.
Oh
and
yeah,
like,
I'm sure.
And now the people that live there are probably all mutated freaks that eat humans.
Oh God, we are so sorry if we have listeners from Denora, Pennsylvania.
No. I'm obviously joking. We're comedians.
I am too, because I think it's very ambitious to think that one or more of the 6,000 people who live in Denora, Pennsylvania, give a fuck about our show.
That's fair. But no, I'm saying like just like the first thing that comes to my mind is like
I hope they do. You know what, Denora,
no,
Pennsylvania.
like at a certain point, the reason that you would stay in that town is either you are just like born and raised and you're just proud of living there, even though I don't think anyone living in 1948 there is probably still kicking. If they are, fucking good on you. But you're either there because you feel like a pride in the town, or you work at the plant that's making the zinc poison.
Jesus.
Or you just don't have enough money to move. That's all there is to it. That town sounds like a trap.
It's one of a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've done probably the most fucking heart-wrenching one of the whole list.
Fucked. I'm glad that we're not like digging into the actual like people and situations, because that would make
maybe
me really
one
sad.
day. Maybe we'll be investigative journalists one day.
I'm gonna fucking read the book now.
Yeah, right.
Because it's fascinating. I'm fascinated by shit like that.
It's crazy. But so let's finish out with one that is just a fun one. It's nobody got hurt. It's a weird mystery, and it's just fun. Ladies and gentlemen, the Kentucky meat shower.
Yay! I'd clap, but I only have the one hand.
Oh no, he can't even clap. The Kentucky meat shower was an incident that occurred for a period of several minutes between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m.
between me and a woman in a hotel room
in Louisville, Kentucky. Me and a lady and 3 other guys. It was the Kentucky meat shower. So on March 3rd, 1876. So again, we're going back to 1800s, right? This happened like 10 years. Or no, I'm sorry. Was it the next year after the Dublin Whiskey River? Was that 1875? Oh man, this happened. Okay, June 85 or June 75 was the Whiskey River, and here we are, March 76. Fuck God. A lot of people
Dublin.
A lot of people say if they had a time machine, they'd go back and like kill Hitler, and they just there's like.
I'd save Dimebag Darrell from Pantera.
God damn it. God damn it.
Dime, look up.
You fucking just T-boned me with that one, man. Holy fucking shit. I had the fucking meat and the onions in the tortilla, and you came by with the cheese and sprinkles and just fucking...
Reset. Okay, now go ahead.
Cheese and sprinkles.
Cheese and sprinkles.
Cheese and sprinkles. Band name. So, okay. This... I would go back and just... I would see the Dublin Whiskey River. I'd just stop in 75, and I'd be like, oh, I got 9 months to get to fucking Kentucky, because there's gonna be a meat shower, and I need to know what happened. And you know what I'd do in Dublin? I'd sell that night only. I'd have a little booth with all the cups I could find,
little tin cups. Here you go.
Yeah, I can get by with the accent.
Tuppence.
I don't know about the complexion. I don't know what they're like. Oh, you're a dark one, aren't you? Oh, you must be black Irish.
Don't see your type in Dublin in 1865 that often.
I'd wear one of those little caps, and I'd be like, "Oh, how do you do? Do you want a cup? 50 cents."
Tuppence. You gotta see.
There's whiskey in the streets.
5 pence.
There's whiskey in the comb.
They're drinking the comb.
They're drinking the comb. Hurry, boys, hurry. Don't forget your cup. When the pigs are squealing, you go drink the cum.
It's an old Irish saying.
When the pigs are squealing, it's time to drink the cum. Okay. Wow. Wow. Okay. So
I don't know how I feel about the last things that we just did. I went into a fugue state. I was blacked out.
We said when the pigs are squealing, it's time to drink the cum.
That's what I
Except
thought.
like a leprechaun.
That's
Would you want to hear it in Liam Neeson?
no.
When the pigs are squealing, it's time to drink the cum. Is that better? Do you feel better?
It's worse.
It's time to drink the cum. All right. So, listen. Between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. on March 3rd, 1876, what appeared to be chunks of red meat fell from the sky in a 100-yard by 50-yard area of Olympia Springs in Bath County, Kentucky. Right?
Wait, like at football fields?
Like basically a football field. I think even wider than a football field, right? Is just chunks of meat just fell from the sky.
What size of meat are we talking about? Like,
know what? I have dimensions, and we are going to get into that, right?
Like, is it like cubed like a stew? Or
We're
is this like
going to get into all this, baby. All this, right?
like a beef Wellington?
Yes, it was wrapped in puff pastry and cooked a beautiful medium rare. There exist several explanations as to how this occurred and what the quote-unquote meat was. Ready?
the quote-unquote meat.
The exact meat type was never identified. We are talking about 1876 here, so I guess
The cavemen, essentially.
We're stuck with the scientific implements of 1876. So
with the big science then was poke it with the stick and then go,
So reports suggested it was. These are all the things that they said. It could be this.
I'm obviously joking. There was science.
There was beef, lamb, deer, bear, horse, or possibly human. Right?
So just meat. All they did was list off
red
meats.
meat specifically, right?
Red
all
meats
those
indigenous to the area.
All of those are red meats, right?
Red meats you could find in the area.
We can opt out chickens and pigs.
It's
and all
probably
that
not kangaroo.
So So how this all went down, right? Mrs. Crouch, a local farmer's wife,
God, that bitch
was making. She seems like a lovely lady. She was
I
making
don't
soap
know.
on the porch.
Oh, I don't know what the context is. I was just thinking she was a busybody.
She was making soap on her porch. Like one does when your name is Mrs. Crouch and you're living in 1876 in Bath County, Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
When she saw a piece of meat fall from the sky, she said she was 40 steps from her house when the meat started to slap the ground.
Ooh. So when we think of this context of 1876 in Bath County, Kentucky, are we thinking like Appalachian, like Ma and Pa Kettle?
I'm not sure where Bath County is. I probably should have looked that up.
Because if it's an unincorporated county and not like a city, we're probably thinking like a rural township, right?
Well, it depends on if it's east or west. If it's further east, then we're definitely talking about Appalachian, baby. But anyway, so Mrs. Crouch and her husband, can't believe this, but it's just a mind-blowing fact here. They believed the event was a sign from God. Crazy, right? The phenomenon was covered by Scientific American, the New York Times, and other publications. Most of the pieces of meat were, to your question, 2 by 2 inches, which makes them sound like they were perfectly cubed. At least one of them was 4 by 4 inches. Now I'm guessing they're probably like some hunk.
Yeah,
probably
like
a chunk, not
because
not a perfectly cubed.
I feel if they're like perfect like cubes, that would be noted
That
for
would be
one,
bananas,
and also probably the most disturbing part of the whole thing.
The meat appeared to be beef, but according to the first report in Scientific American, fucking buckle your seatbelt for this. 2 men who tasted it judged it to be lamb or deer.
So it's a little gamey.
That's what you want to focus on? I'm focused on the 2 men who came out to the Kentucky field full of sky meat and said, yeah, give me, put some of that on my plate.
I'm actually not shocked by that at all. I'd probably do that.
Would you?
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about a football field's worth of cubed meat. Like,
this is in March in Kentucky, so probably still pretty cold. They still get snow up that way, depending on where in Kentucky
here's
it
a
is.
decent question, okay?
Okay, let's hear it.
Is there any fact about the amalgamated meat and how much we're looking at?
I don't have a total quantity.
Because I
will
feel
tell
like
you
that's
that.
an important detail.
I wish I knew. I could not find anything that. Oh my God!
What?
Bath County is between Moorhead, where I have worked in the past, and Lexington, Kentucky. So you are right near the Red River Gorge. You're in,
Like Appalachia?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you're
yeah.
saying a couple of mountain folk just eat whatever meat the Lord provides.
this is a event for
Yeah,
God.
I'll eat that meat.
God said y'all are hungry, and we're God damn it, we're gonna eat it. I think it's beef or deer. What about you, Jed?
I want to say lamb or possibly baby.
Oh, it was lamb or deer, not beef or deer. Okay, so here we go. Writing in the Sanitarian, Leopold Brandis identified the substance as nostoc.
Hold on a second. So the sanitarium is in the
Sanitarian. Not the sanitarium, not where you
I was
send
thinking,
crazy
like,
people.
So the guy coming from the nut
Yeah,
house
no.
is like,
They identified the substance as nostoc, Nostoc, right? Which sounds weird and creepy, and like aliens dropped it on you. Nostoc. Which is a type of cyanobacteria. So Brandis gave the meat sample to Newark Scientific Association for further analysis, leading to a letter from Dr. Alan McLean Hamilton appearing in the medical record and stating the meat had been identified as Jesus Christ. So he thought it was a cyanobacteria. He gave a sample to this guy at the Newark Scientific Association.
cyanobacteria. How many cyanobacteria are going to be solid enough to hit the ground with a thunk and then get cooked up by Jethro?
So what he was saying is that it didn't actually fall from the sky. It was on the ground, because cyanobacteria will grow on in sort of damp places, and then when it rained, I guess that sort of makes it, I don't know, more visible. I was reading about this, and it makes it more visible. So it was normal rain, and then when they went out in the field, all this cyanobacteria was visible, and it looked like meat. It looks kind of like meat if you look at photos.
Seems like a fucking bunch of bullshit.
It
to me.
seems
Some
like you would-
swamp gas ass fucking.
It seems like you would notice the difference between meat falling from the sky and rain falling from the sky if you're an old lady named Mrs. Crouch.
Yeah, I feel
If
like
you're a farmer's wife, you know what rain looks like.
I feel
right?
like if you're chilling on your porch making soap and you see meat fall from the sky, you probably
You're
saw
like,
meat.
that's not regular rain. That's meat.
I mean, like if you're
A 4x4 inch piece of
I
fucking
feel
chunk
okay.
of meat.
Miss Crouch out there probably kills her own chickens and shit.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know? Like, so she probably, if she saw just some meat laying there, she'd be like, part of the pig fell off last weekend, or
Well,
like, whatever.
yeah. So this fella, Leopold Brandis, who thought it was nostoc, gave a meat sample to Dr. Alan McLean
Yeah, I'll
Hamilton.
bet he did.
He gave a sample of it, right? Dr. Alan McLean Hamilton wrote in the medical record, stated the meat had been identified as lung tissue
Ooh.
from either a horse or a human infant.
So either a horse or a baby.
Horse lungs or human infant lungs. Yes.
Okay, the full.
The structure of the organ in these two cases is almost identical, apparently, at least according to this letter, again written in 1876. So, you know.
Okay, so, all right, now just trying to make a mental image here. Lung tissue is usually kind of porous. It's not like super muscular. It's like softer, right? So I could see why the guy would think that it would be like a cyanobacteria, because like it's not like a hardy muscle, but it would still be meatly, gelatinous, right? Also,
I don't know. I've never actually handled lung tissue before, but it seems like it would be kind of.
interestingly enough, I have.
Yeah, I guess I have from game from animals.
Yeah,
but
exactly. Yeah.
it's-
So, but
I have not specifically handled horse or human infant lungs. I can say that with full confidence.
there is the thing. Here's the interesting
Full
thing to me.
confidence on that
so,
statement.
So how many baby lungs would it take to be spread out amongst the football fields? Because there's no way there's enough
Oh my
baby
God,
lung
I don't know.
for like the traces to pop up, and they certainly wouldn't call it a shower.
So yeah, no shit, right? So the sample was backed up by further analysis.
And to that point, horse lungs either.
Okay, but hang on, because it gets more interesting here, right? It gets more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The composition of this sample was backed up by further analysis with 2 samples of the meat. So apparently there was a box of this shit that Brandis sent in, right? 2 samples of the meat being identified as lung tissue, 3 as muscle, and 2 as cartilage.
Oh, okay. So it's just some animal or baby got chunked up and just
and fell from the sky somehow. So Brandis' nostoc theory, again, what I was saying before, relied on the fact that nostoc expands into clear jelly-like mass when rain falls on it, often giving the sense that it was falling with the rain. Which, again, if you don't see 2x2 and 4x4 chunks of meat falling from the sky, maybe you walk out in the field, you go, what's all this meat? Well, it must have just rained down from the sky because it just rained and that wasn't here before. And it looks like meat, I guess. I don't know. But evidently, upon analysis, it was actually, again, 2 of the samples lung, 3 muscle, 2 cartilage. So gross.
it's all red meat, so it couldn't just be a bird through a propeller or anything like that.
So now we get into some other weird things, right? So Charles Fort, fellow Charles Fort, noted in his first book, The Book of the Damned, which I guess must have been at some point about this, that there had been no rain on that day. So it couldn't have been rain on Nostoc. It must have been chunks of meat. Locals favored the explanation that the meat was vomited up by buzzards who, quote, as their custom, seeing one of their companions disgorge himself, immediately followed suit. I think that's part of like a defense mechanism, right? If they feel threatened, the whole flock of buzzards just goes. Bleh.
Interesting.
But I don't know if they do that while they're flying or not. So that seems like a whole other thing. So this
and I think if that was like a phenomenon that like that animal did, there are buzzards everywhere. So like that would be noted. That would be a much more noted phenomenon.
You would see a bunch of vultures like
there'd be
around.
like there would be meat showers more often. You know what I mean? Like
I feel like I've been in that area of Kentucky, and I feel like there's just probably no. You know what? I never saw buzzards when I was up there, so I'm not going to talk shit. I was going to say I feel like there's just buzzards constantly just zooming around the entire state of Kentucky, waiting for some shit to go down. But I didn't see any buzzards while I was there. So
what do you think it was?
I don't know, but there's more here. So Fort, the old Charles Fort, who wrote the Book of the Damned, explained the flattened, dry appearance of the meat chunks as the result of pressure, and noted that 9 days later, on March 12th, 1876, red corpuscles with a vegetable appearance fell over London, Kentucky. So if it was an act from God, apparently feels like the people in Bath County need more iron in their diet, and the people in London, Kentucky need more greens. Leafy greens.
Gross.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder what vegetables. A vegetable appearance. I mean, broccoli looks different than kale, looks different than carrots, looks different.
All of it looks different than baby lungs.
Corpuscles also doesn't make me think vegetables.
I really got to think.
Corpuscles with a vegetable appearance.
Maybe I'm harping on this a little bit, but I'm thinking about this 1800s physician with his fucking microscope, you know, and he's got like, it's probably got the 3 different like enhancing, you know, slides. You can like click, 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 click to look closer at it. And he's wearing his white suit and, you know, and he's looking at this meat sample. He goes, all the telltale signs of horse lung.
Or maybe babies.
Or baby?
Can we get those 2 guys that tried it to come in?
Mary, fetch me the baby lungs. I have to compare the samples.
So the Book of the Damned by Charles Fort in 1919 is actually a book about various types of anomalous phenomena, including UFOs, strange falls of both organic and inorganic materials from the sky, odd weather patterns, and possible existence of creatures generally believed to be mythological, disappearance of people, and many other phenomena.
Creatures generally believed to be mythological. That's our bag, baby.
Yeah, right? The book is considered to be the first of a specific topic of anomalistic. So he basically wrote this book about data that had been excluded by modern science because it didn't conform to, you know, people's accepted beliefs. So that sounds kind of cool too.
I mean, cool book. Fucking dope title.
the Book of the Damned.
The Book of the Damned.
Sounds like you find it in a cave in like fucking
Just made out
in
of
Jordan, and it's all written in Aramaic, and you just fucking find some.
Hey, fucking.
You find some 90-year-old
Made outta-
guy who's got white eyes, and somehow reads it and tells you what it is.
Book
He's
of
like,
the Damned.
don't read
Or
this.
it's bound in human skin.
can
You find it in the basement of a cabin. There's a tape recorder that's like, don't read this.
I can translate it for you, but don't
Condor.
don't put exactly 14 candles in a circle and read it.
Did you see the remake of The Evil Dead, the Fede Alvarez one from a few years ago?
The recent one, I did not.
It's actually great. It's a great remake.
Did they
It's
do
super
good?
gory. It's really
Cool.
intense. But there's the book. They find the book. It is in a garbage bag, bound in barbed wire, in a room with about 35 dead cats hanging in it.
Jesus.
They take it out, and the dude opens the book, and like the first page says, "Don't read it." Don't say it. So he immediately reads and says it, and it's like, oh, come on, man! Like, what? How many more signs? How many dead cats does there have to be in the room before you don't read the fucking book?
At least 3 more.
You're like, Jesus Christ!
At least 3 more. I would have been concerned if there were 19. dead cats.
Condor.
So, yeah, those are all of our wacky disasters. At least for this time around, we might get into some more.
Yeah,
I have a big list.
I can see you getting into some more of those. It was,
yeah,
pretty fun and horrifying.
We've probably got more cryptids.
I'm not
coming
gonna
up
lie,
at
the
some
fucking
point.
Denora Death Fog really fucked me up.
Dude, that shit was
That's gnarly.
wizziled.
Well,
So yeah,
I've enjoyed
sign
it.
off.
good episode.
All right, baby. Thank you.
right,
Thank
well-
you for listening to this episode.
Thank you guys for coming out, and let us leave you now with a little song.
What's this song? What is this? Oh my God, no! I'm.
Let him take you away.
Listen to the damn song. We're not playing it on. Bye. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode on Wacky Disasters. I hope they were wacky enough for you guys.
Not a one of them was wacky. They were horrifying.
A couple of them were wacky.
The whiskey fire was pretty wacky.
The tapioca was
yeah,
wacky.
the cheese. Okay, I'll give it to
The
you.
cheese was the Kentucky Beach.
I think
Sour
there was
wacky as
a
fuck.
fine balance between wacky and absolutely gut wrenching.
Yeah, well, Denora Death Fog was that one, for sure. And the Boston one was pretty bad too. The Whiskey River was pretty bad. It was just funny that Irishmen
Yeah, we can't discount the fact
died from
they-
drinking cask strength whiskey running through the streets.
Ugh.
Again, we cannot stress enough. In order for us to get visibility, in order for us to really like get hot, get us hot, baby. Please, if you like the show, go on to Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars. I know it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to log in and do all the things. If it makes you say
It's not.
something,
It takes no time at all.
it's just, but how many times have you
Check it out.
needed to do that and you're like, I'll do it later.
Just Google it. We'll start a business page. You just rank the 5 stars. It's easy.
So yeah, please give us 5 stars on anything, whatever you're listening to. If it gives you the opportunity to rate us, that helps us out tremendously. Also, like we said at the top of the show, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Threads. We are all, you can find us under Delete Everything Podcast. Follow us, give us a shout out. We haven't posted anything yet. We probably won't post a ton on there. We'll post some stuff. Patreon. We have a lot of really cool ideas for Patreon, specifically short episodes weekly, probably 30-minute weekly episodes.
We've got some episodes that we couldn't release because for some various reasons that we're gonna put into the
we'll have some
the
unreleased
lost
episodes.
files.
Yep. We'll probably post our first 2 episodes before we were actually even Delete Everything.
Yeah,
you'll
different podcasts.
you'll hear us come up with the name Delete Everything in those podcasts.
It's a magical moment because we go like, oh, that's it.
Yeah, it was just sort of a catchphrase for a little bit, and then we were like, holy shit. But also, we're going to be doing monthly Q&As. We've got some really cool video podcast ideas that we want to do. That's just going to require a little bit more editing and stuff. So that'll probably be a once a month thing.
At an Alpha Platinum membership, we'll take you out fishing.
I don't think we're going to have different tiers.
Come on, different tier. If you want to meet the Grand Master, you've got to become.
Oh God, that sounds like a bad thing. It sounds like pointy hats.
No, not like a wizard.
Pointy hats and a cross on fire
If
somewhere
you
in the
meet,
field.
if you want to meet the religious leader, you gotta become an Alpha Centauri member.
Yeah, so Patreon, again, that's also under Delete Everything Podcast. So if you want to donate some money and get some cool bonus content, that's the place to do it. Beyond that, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
Just catch a little bit. You can fade out on it.
And go. God, he's already doing it. And go listen to Scatman John sing the song of Scatland. We're still not going to do it here.
Cut it after political corruption. Okay, there you go.
Okay, bye.